In my last video, I talked a little bit about how I set up my games and stuff. And I didn't go into much detail, so I thought I'd make up a video that just explained a little bit more of sort of what my process is when I set up a game. One thing is that I like to think of my campaign world as like a stage. And I want to set it up so that action can happen on it. Sort of an improv, if you like. And because that's, in my opinion, what RPG games are like. They're kind of like improv. Everybody gets to improv, but you want a setup. You want it set up so that people can have lots of fun having actions, taking actions, that kind of thing. So that's what I do. I set up for what I perceive of as possible contingencies that the players might take. Now, this doesn't mean I plan for everything that they might do. As I said in my last video, sometimes I have to call it for the night and just, hey, I'm out of prep. But what I try and do is I try and set it up so that if the players want to go here, want to go there, I have some idea of what to expect. And I like to have, for that reason, I like to have random tables set up. And that goes to my point about the DM has perfect information, but as a DM, GM, whatever, I have more fun if I don't have complete perfect information. And this is where random tables are a lot of fun for me, especially if I'm not in, sort of held down by CR levels. So I can have just random tables so crazy stuff can happen. As long as the players are aware that sometimes they might have to run away. Which OSR players are, right? And that's all I do is OSR. I do play 5e occasionally. I've played it online and stuff like that. But it's not my go-to system. And so another thing I like to have is I like to always have at least 2 or 3 adventures set up beforehand.
Excellent.
And these can be small dungeons, or these can be a little more in depth than that or whatever, but I like to have at least 2 or 3 that I've read through and are ready to go. These aren't complex, big thick book kind of things. They're just small little excursions that if the players decide to go left when I thought they were going to go right, then I can give them something fun to do. And the other thing is that with all of these adventures and stuff, what I like is I like the overall theme of the campaign world to permeate through those adventures. I think that every adventure that goes into my campaign worlds, I like it to have the theme of the campaign world, whatever that may be. And if it can't have the theme, then I want it to reinforce the theme of the campaign world. So you never feel like you're playing somewhere else, like this was an afterthought. As long as it's somehow built into the theme of the world, it won't feel like it's an afterthought. So I need to also, this part of my prep is figure out how these other small adventures might fit into the overall concept of the campaign world. And that kind of goes to my last point. But I think that the thread of the campaign world, it's good if it moves through there. Now, sometimes that, whatever it is that is part of the thread might not appear later on. Might not be obvious right at the beginning. So, I think of Lord of the Rings, and the ring, gets found and nobody really understands the significance, in The Hobbit. Nobody understands the significance of the ring until later on when Gandalf comes and announces, hey, that ring was really something,
What can you see? Can you see anything?
Nothing. There's nothing. Wait. There were markings.
And, look what happened. 3 more books, a huge, massive adventure. You know the story. I don't need to go into Lord of the Rings. But you get the idea. So even my little small adventures, I like to put kernels in there that I'm not necessarily going to use, but I could use. And I like it to still fit into the theme of the campaign world. The other thing for my prep is I like to have a copy of everybody's player characters so that I can keep exact track of what's going on. Now, I'm not doing a lot of bookkeeping. I just like to have it because then, this is going to sound silly, but then the players know I have it. So it makes things like encumbrance a lot easier to keep track of because the players are more inclined to keep track of it because they think I'm going to go over the character sheet. This is a little trick I learned.
Excellent.
But the other thing is that it's a good reference for me too. So if I'm setting up an adventure, dungeon, whatever, and I want to make sure that there's something, you know, that something isn't too overwhelming for them, then I can look at their character sheets and see, yeah, okay, no, they have a good chance at this. The other thing that I like to have is in every adventure, so of the 2 or 3 adventures I have set up, dungeons or whatever, I like to have, for every adventure there, I like to have some kind of unique monster, something nobody's ever seen before. Now this can just be a modified monster, say it's a goblin lair and we've got a goblin wizard, something like that, and I just make up something that is not in the rule set that I'm using. So I really like to have that. So that's part of my prep, is just setting up something that nobody's seen before. It doesn't have to be spectacular. It just has to be kind of unique, right? Because it adds that to the adventure that I really like. And the other thing that I set up for is I set up for emergency escape plans if things go sideways.
Danger, Will Robinson! Danger! No, Will Robinson! Danger!
So things that can help the players out of sticky situations. Because in my last video I said that I like to set up situations where I have no idea how the players are going to solve it and I have no idea how the players are going to get out of it. I really enjoy that. But that being said, I don't want TPKs, total party kills. I don't want anything like that. So I always set up a way for the players, a way that I can envision that the players can get out of it. That doesn't mean the players are going to take that avenue to get out of it. The players may choose something totally different. But I just like to have 2 or 3 contingency plans, ways, escape routes, that kind of thing, where they might be able to save their butts. And, you know, again, I have perfect information. So for me to relay to them exactly what a room looks like, exactly how a dungeon looks, exactly what a monster looks like, and get them to understand it is very difficult. And, you know, it's as difficult as writing a book, let's say. And, you know, because you're trying to, with words, convey. Now, you know, if you use pictures and you use, you know, images of monsters and stuff like that, that's fantastic. And I actually highly recommend that. I totally recommend that. So anyway, that's it for the video. Thanks for watching. And, yeah, I'll talk to you next time. Take care. Bye.